COVID almost killed me, and I have not, at least to my knowledge, ever had it. It almost killed me because people just like you, are scared. Scared for me even when I'm not. You see, I'm immunocompromised, and last time I was with my doctor, I was advised not to get vaccinated. In looking at the facts now, I'm glad that I listened and did not. But people just like you, think I should still get vaccinated or not be able to eat in places, buy groceries by myself, or take my children out into public. Lots of people just like you, think I should be fired from my job because I cannot get vaccinated for my own safety. Again, yes, I should be fired from my job for my own safety. Now, I'm a 100% disabled veteran, and I'm convinced in some capacity that while they cannot take that now, it's something that they will try to leverage at some point. COVID almost killed me, and I never got it. What happened was, I had to take my kids to a medical or dental appointment, and at that time, all people were required to wear masks. Because people just like you were scared for me, when I'm not scared. Now, I'm all for making personal statements, but not at the detriment of the health and medical conditions of my kids. Again, I think that was dental work because it was something that I would not forego. But that would be different now. But regardless, I put a mask on and I got cellulitis on my chin and almost died. I was in the hospital and released January 30th, the day my mother passed away from cancer several years prior. I hesitated to tell anyone I was in the hospital because I didn't want to throw all of my stuff in that whole mix, but I specifically remember wanting not to die on the same day as my mom. So I was there from Tuesday to Saturday. I mentioned that my doctor advised against the vaccine. This was at that time because of my medical issues. Ironically, later, a different doctor tried to come in and get me to take the COVID vaccine. Now, for some context, I was in so much pain that I had had several doses of morphine and other painkillers. I was in pain, not eating, exhausted, not sleeping. I had a massive infection on my chin. I may show a pic at the end with some kind of disclaimer, and it's not the worst thing by any means, but it's gross and you'll get the point. Digression aside, for days they couldn't find the right treatment for the strain of cellulitis that I had, and it went from a day or two to almost dying as things degraded. So here's where things get interesting. Even though already they had told me not to take the COVID vax, then tried to get me to take it while fighting a potentially fatal cellulitis infection on my chin, I'm glad I was not too messed up on morphine to say no. At one point, one morning or night, the blinds were closed and it was just dark, and it's hard to tell, I just assume it was the morning. A pastor was standing over me and watching me. A nice, wonderful man, dark black African man with a very heavy African accent. It was kind of hard to understand him, but he was just a very nice and humble, open man. I'm not sure how much of this is hindsight now, or how cognizant I was of how darkly ironic this entire thing was, but we just started talking about God and religion and my kids and all of that. I think we talked a little bit about my mother passing. And again, in hindsight, I think they were not sure if I was going to die. I've never had anything like that happen before any of my hospital stays at any point. So fast forward to Friday and things were getting bad. Again, my face was not getting better or worse, but they seemed to be worried that it wasn't getting better and concerned about it expressing more or something like that, which I think meant more stuff was coming out, but I know that can also be a sign of healing in a way. And I'm actually adding this part after. I remember now specifically them being very worried about it getting to the point where it was going to get into my bloodstream. I'm not sure how cellulitis works. I'm not the cellulitis ologist, but I just remember them saying that came up several times, that their main concern was now making sure it didn't progress to the point where it became toxic or in my bloodstream or something to that concern. And I remember that's when I started to get really scared because to me, infections are like cuts, but I don't consider stuff getting into your bloodstream something to mess with. But about midday Friday, they said they found a match and would get it to me either Friday night or Saturday morning, and it did not come that night. And I was still feeling like butt. I think I had just started eating a full meal, more or less, that day. I mean, like a full sandwich in one sitting. So then, without any of that medicine or knowing how I would react to it or if it would work, they dismissed me around noon to drive myself home. Having almost just died, been on morphine, not weighed me, asked how much I ate. They stopped doing blood work on me several days prior because I started getting so weak that I was having adverse reactions to the blood draws, like almost passing out. I think I passed out one time. I could hardly move my right arm because from Saturday, or I should say from Tuesday to Saturday, I had an IV in it. With that, having not cleaned my own wound or have me clean it, they told me I'd have to go home now and start doing just that. And I'm not sure why, but I left. I don't know if it was because I thought I was fine or if I didn't care or maybe both. Or I don't think I should have left in hindsight, but I did. But before I did ask them something akin to, when I get home, you all want me to medicate, take care of myself, and oh, that was it. For a little bit of context, so we exchanged custody on Sundays. At that point, again, I hadn't really communicated much to my ex because I didn't know how to go about this. So I'm trying to balance getting home. Again, I'm getting dismissed Saturday, maybe debating taking my kids Sunday, which ended up not happening. But again, this is all for context when it comes to why I had an anxiety attack coming up. So before getting too far ahead of myself, I asked them, who do I call? Because again, I know the way the VA works, especially on a weekend, and I didn't want to do the whole phone circle where I get where I call the desk, they send me to the ER because specialists aren't there on the weekend, and then there are no specialists, so they have to call my doctor who also is not there on the weekend, so they go back to the desk, which will then maybe send me to the emergency room, and I didn't want to do that. So I said, who are the people that I call, what section, and what is their extension? They gave me the ENT, which is ear, nose, and throat, and their extension. So I got home, started having a panic or anxiety attack. Again, I'd never had one before, so I don't know. And I ended up calling them. Turns out they're closed and gone for the weekend. In short, because I was not a COVID patient, and they would have to pay the section to stay open and administer me care, it was cheaper to not do that, not pay those people over the weekend, and instead advise me to drive home and start taking care of myself. They asked, for example, why I didn't have anyone come get me or to take care of me, and I just said because I don't. Again, it was just cheaper to have me leave. I was not a COVID patient. So I mentioned I get home, call them, nothing, don't have anyone to call. I ended up calling my roommate who came later, but he couldn't come right away, so I had to call 911. They came and looked me over, kind of talked to me about everything that was going on, because again, I had just gotten out of the hospital and all that. And they basically said there was nothing they could do aside from, again, this is the big irony of all of this, I think, or I should say a big irony among ironies. I was having a panic or anxiety attack, and if I could have, I would have went to a hospital. But as a veteran, I have to pay out of pocket for anything that is not provided for me at the VA hospital in Detroit. The ambulance, though, said they can only take me to the nearest hospital. I don't know if it's a contractual thing or what. So my option was get taken to a hospital and have to pay out of pocket for everything, or not get taken anywhere. So I opted not to go anywhere. My prior roommate came and helped me out for the night. So I never had COVID. I'm not scared of COVID. I don't think you should or should not wear a mask. And I expect you to give me the same courtesy. I know people who mask up and are vaxxed up, and I love them and care about them and respect the decision that they made for themselves. But people made me wear a mask because they were scared, and it almost killed me. If you are scared, mask up, vax up. If you think it's safe, stay inside. I don't think we should mandate the vaccine be outlawed and masks illegal. I think it's a choice. I don't want to kill you, not by forcing a mask or a vax into you, or by mandating a mask off of you and a vaccine out of you. I deployed twice, and one of those times I did humanitarian aid after the tsunami in Indonesia. And I almost died because people just like you, are scared for me, even when I'm not. And they would rather have me die than not react to their fear.